update on the 1957 5.5. A few things I wanted to point out. I'm getting ready to put it back together. I took the motor, the block apart twice. It had massive crankcase leaks. I had some defective sealant that I used. I actually sealed the block twice over that course of 3 months when I was working on the motor, and finally got it straightened out. I sealed it with Loctite 518, which I should use all the time now. I think what happened is the Permatex I only had like a quarter of a container left on the bottom. It was very old, but for some reason it would not dry at all. It just stayed liquidy, and the gas and oil just disintegrated it. I've never seen that happen before, but anyway, lesson learned. When I did have the motor running, it got very hot very quick. I ended up finding out that the 6-horse uses this power head gasket. This area here where my thumb is on the correct 5.5 horse gasket is all open for better water flow. It's a totally different gasket. So I bought the proper gaskets to put it back together. I was aware of it, but just make sure you use the right power head gasket. The 6 horses were different. Like I said, they had a thermostat on the head, just different design. So you got to be careful. You could open these up. You can cut them if you're in a pinch, but these gaskets are already available and they're cheap, about $8 a piece. Also, I had a head gasket on there. The second time I put the motor together, I thought the head gasket was bad. And so I ended up putting on a 6-horse head gasket, which again is designed for a different power head, but I'm just trying it out just to see if that was one of the problems I had with the engine not being able to start after a few runs. But anyway, just 80 pounds of compression will not start. Picked up a drill recently on Facebook to try to get it started. Messed with it yesterday for about an hour. Couldn't get it to start. Gonna take it apart and put new rings in it. I have 3 sets of rings I picked up recently. I didn't have any 5.5 horse rings. I'm gonna put brand new rings in it. I believe the rings that I used when I soaked it in muriatic acid a few months ago destroyed the rings, not visually, but by tolerances. Probably just out of round, whatever they are. I did change both pistons too, so now I'm just going to take it apart, put new rings in it, and see what happens. Maybe I'll come across something else. So that's where I'm at now. Now I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to pull the flywheel off, magneto, all the external pieces, carburetor, and take the block into the shop and rebuild it. So after taking it apart, actually I did it Easter Sunday. It's a gorgeous day here. Not knowing what was wrong with this engine, I had all kinds of theories in my crazy head. But again, I always get to the bottom of it. You learn something new every day. It wasn't the acid that destroyed the rings like I thought. The rings are fine. I measured them with a caliper to the brand new set. Didn't change dimensions, didn't change out and around this. The problem I found was on number 1 piston, or was it number 2? Number 1. The rings were stuck. All 3 rings were stuck. More than half of the perimeter of the piston was stuck. Now, when I put it together, I double check. I fit the rings real, make sure they're nice and loose. Plenty of oil when I assemble it. I clean the grooves out real thoroughly. But for some reason, they froze on inside the ring grooves, making it hard to start. It did start initially by hand. 3 times I had it started, and it just after that, I don't know what happened. The motor didn't run for more than 20 seconds. The 3 times I ran it, and Don't know what happened. Really just don't know. I don't know how the rings seized up. Wasn't lack of oil. It was nothing like that. It was just the only theory that comes to play is maybe the possibility there was muriatic acid residue soaked inside the pores on the rings. That's possible because I did soak the first piston, close to an hour. With the second one, I did it maybe 20 minutes. And believe it or not, even in the 20-minute span compared to the hour, both pistons were ruined. I mean, just corroded the pistons, took thousands off the piston diameter, mostly in the ring land area. So the pistons, I had to change the pistons. But when I did change the pistons, I picked 2 good used ones. I cleaned the grooves out. But anyway, the bottom line is that's all said and done. I rebuilt the motor. It took me maybe an hour and a half to totally disassemble it and reassemble it. I put new rings in it. There were no needle bearings to worry about, which is nice. Here's a rod just for an example. There's no needles on the crank. There's only bushings on the wrist pin, so they're much easier to put together. All you got to do is clean the block halves. I use lacquer thinner or acetone, whatever I have, and some sealant. You could use gel seal. You could use Permatex gasket sealer, whatever you want to use, and not too much. Just put it together, and that's it. So now today I'm going to put the power head back on, and hopefully I'll get it running soon. But this is just the live and learn thing, You gotta love it. I do, most times. Although it took me 2 months to really get back on this, to really take it apart. I did buy this drill motor just recently to help start stubborn motors. I seen my buddy Cody Bass use it a few times on his motors, and my buddy down in Florida, this old outboard, he uses it too. That's where I got the idea. So when you get a stubborn motor, you don't kill yourself and give yourself a heart attack. I mean, I'm older now, so I got to be careful. Just don't want to sit there and yank a motor for an hour and you get a heart attack. Anyway, that helped. When I first got it, I tried to start the motor even with the drill. I couldn't get it to do nothing, just pop and fart. That's all it would do. Could not get it to run. So anyway, now I'm going to put it back together like I said before, and then we'll see what happens. You gotta love it. So here I got everything kind of spread out and ready to put it together. Hopefully for the last time, I found out a couple of things you could teach an old dog new tricks. 5.5s had their own small faceplate. I always thought the 7.5s and the 5 horsepowers from 56 to 58 shared the same size casting, but this is a 7.5 right here, which actually works. But this is the correct one. I also bought some seal. I've been experimenting with rubber seals for redoing the rubber seal. I found this is kind of small. I think it's 5 millimeter. I'm still working on trying to find a better seal, which is closer to the original, instead of trying to repair the old ones by cutting pieces together. So anyway, I got the power head here ready to go together. Carburetor's there, flywheel, the gaskets I showed you before. I explained the power head gasket differences and everything. This is something a lot of people get screwed up on, is the seal for the power head. You got to just make sure the stainless roll pin is good on the top of the drive shaft. And the sequence I use is like the brass cup on the bottom hooks the spring. That goes on first. Then this is what they call a carbon seal. Graphite carbon seal. They're very brittle. So if you ever pull one of these engines apart and you pull the seal off, be very careful because they break like pretzels. So it has an O-ring on it. And that goes up. And the last piece is a cork gasket with a stainless washer. And this one, it's not great, but it's okay. there's a little ridge on this washer that the cork washer fits on. Just want to make sure it goes up. And then you're ready to put the power head on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts, 7 screws, cheese head screws, and the motor goes together very quickly, which is nice. So next I'm going to put it together. Pretty much I covered everything. Yep. Well, after 3 months of, over 3 months, got this to finally run. It still doesn't run great. I'm just going to break it in. I just wanted to get an update out on this before too much time goes by and people think I left the planet. But anyway, I got it finally going. I'm going to break it in over course now that the weather finally broke here, up here in the northeast here. I run it every day, get those new rings to seat, and we'll go on to the next project, which I'm looking around, thinking about what I want to do. But I did a lot of work on this motor since the last video I put out. Too much to really list. I touched some of the bases in this video, but it was just one of those motors, just a multiple of issues, giving me heartaches, and end up buying the drill to help start it up. But anyway, she finally runs, still dialing her in. I got it very close with the low and the high speed, and we'll just take it from there. This has been a real tough cookie, this one here, I'm telling you. Out of all the motors I've worked on through the years, I usually don't get involved with the little 5.5, 7.5s too much. As simple as they are, they're known for vacuum issues because they're low compression motors to start. They just, any kind of vacuum leak or misadjustment with the carburetors just make them run pretty terribly. I've changed the magnetos on this. Two magnetos I tried, and one magneto I even changed the coils and points on it. So actually there's 3 magnetos I tried. I'm back to the original one again. And carburetors I swapped. I had issues with the long linkage rods on here because when I bought the motor, there was no carburetor. So anyway, I got that all straightened out. It's got the right carburetor on there, the right linkage. It's synchronized with the marks to the cam. Everything is done. So pumps good water. It's got a new impeller in it. Don't tell anybody it's Chinese. But anyway, it's good for now. And just wanted to get this update out. You gotta love outboards, folks. Hang in there, I'm back. About as good as you're ever gonna run. You're gonna really break the rings in, give it a good run. These motors run better when you put the air cleaner back on and everything is balanced. A lot of people will adjust the carburetor with the air cleaner off. It's kind of a restrictor on these motors, so always, you know, the proof's in the pudding. I just adjusted it before, just put the air box back on and the face plate and everything, and it runs much better. That's all she wrote, man. Finally! This motor drove me frickin' bananas. See, she's pumping good. Folks, I call this one finished. Next.